Welcome, welcome. Let's make sure we have our audio working right here. I think we're good. Yes. Uh, Welcome back to Bitcoin Generations. And this is Bodhi, where we teach Bitcoiners, pre Bitcoiners, baby boomers, and new Bitcoiners about Bitcoin and the reasons why we Bitcoin. So that's exactly what the title of this is all about today. Uh, a caveat against injustice. So it's an interesting topic. It's something that we always kind of like rally around. Why Bitcoin? Uh, it's kind of like not really rushing to something, but kind of running away from fiat currency, kind of choosing, voting with your feet, choosing something other than a debased economy and debased currency of any kind, whatever kind it is. No matter what country you're in, sound money is always going to resonate. And as we're going to find out today, it resonates through time as well. And I just want to, before I just jump into this real quick, I just kind of logistics and housekeeping stuff, just want to mention that. Just want to shout out to some of our friends over at the Bitcoin Citadel. We're putting together a BitcoinCitadel.net is this website, but there's going to be a school community, SKOOL, school community on Bitcoin Citadel. And that's going to be a very good thing going forward. You're going to find a community over there. You're going to find resources. You're going to find a lot of people who understand Bitcoin, and you're going to find value in the number of people who are helpful to you. And if you're kind of like authentic and earnest in your sort of like approach, I think you're going to find a lot of humble Bitcoiners that are kind of like-minded, and I think it's going to be a good place to be. Not a lot of fluff and fanfare, if you know what I mean. So with that, I will just say that I think that is going to be coming very soon. I would say at end of this first week in October, probably around October 7th, next Tuesday, I think is the rollout on Bitcoin Citadel on the school community. And you're going to see a lot more information about that coming up soon. And I'll be able to share screens and information and how you can get in touch over there. The reason why I mention that is because it is in that school community that I will be teaching this Bitcoin diploma uh, curriculum, which is open source. It's very good. It's something for all of us to learn, and we can learn from each other regarding some of these things about history of money. Just as 10 weeks of really good topical information, 10 weeks, 10 chapters in that book. It's again free and open source curriculum, and you can get yours on GitHub. I will actually put a link in the show notes. Maybe I can actually do that after I get off the air. But just want to just jump in here and kind of like just finish up with the housekeeping stuff there. Also, if you find any value in this rip today, I'd love for you to like and subscribe to our channel. Maybe share it with another baby boomer. If you know somebody who's kind of like long in the tooth, like yours truly, you might find that they might resonate with some of the things that we're going to talk about. So one of the things that we have a very popular, I guess, populist political movement going on in our country right now. It's this "Make America Great Again" thing, but it kind of I think harkens back to some of the principles and some of the things that sort of like started our country back in the day, and and I think one of the first things I'll just start right into is this article that I'm going to be drawing from today, called "A Caveat Against Injustice" by this guy named Roger Sherman. And so Roger Sherman was the author of Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution. So Article 1 is the first article in the Constitution. And if you go down to section 10, you read, quote, no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Now, unquote, without the now. So what there's actually some very interesting history about Roger Sherman, which I won't go into right now. He was predecessor or ancestor of like at least several presidents and some other guys in state politics. But for a second, let me just go down the rabbit hole of this right here. He wrote in this article that if what is being used as a medium of exchange is fluctuating in its value, it is no better than unjust weights and measures, both which are condemned by the laws of God and man. So I think that's very interesting because a medium of exchange we're not talking about volatility like in Bitcoin. We're talking about fluctuating in its value. So what we mean by this here is, and what he meant by this here is it's not, they're not adding and subtracting value to the gold coins that he's talking to by shaving them and putting the value back on them and reattaching the gold back to the coins. No, he's talking about, unjust weights and measures by like you start off with a coin and you shave some value from that coin and then it's forever gone and it's not ever going to be returned. That is condemned by the laws of God and man, which he is saying here. But when you talk about something different, when you talk about the volatility of Bitcoin, you're talking about something that based on the supply and the demand, the number of people buying and selling Bitcoin, the value or the dollar price of it goes up and down. But on this show before, I've talked quite a bit about the time chain calendar. I've talked about make sure you kind of watch how many sats per dollar you get. Okay. And that number over time eventually will go down and down and down. And it was, I think when I started mentioning that, it was like 920 or 950 or something like that sats per dollar. Those are little Satoshis. Those are 100 million of those in every Bitcoin. Well, the number of Satoshis you get per dollar is 950, 920. We've seen it down to like 880, depending on what the price does. Well, as the number of Satoshis goes down, the equity, sort of the equivalent value is getting closer to $1. And I don't want to get lost in the weeds here because the point is that you're not able to shave off any piece of a Satoshi. You're not able to shave off one iota, not one micro piece of a Satoshi off of a Bitcoin. When you purchase Satoshis, when you purchase any part of a Bitcoin or an entire Bitcoin, that is one Satoshi equals one Satoshi. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. It equals that from the day of inception in January 2009, when it first started, and it equals that today. And it will equal that 100 years from now. One Satoshi equals one Satoshi. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Okay, fair? So he's saying this same thing as we're talking about here. Let me repeat this. If what is used as a medium of exchange is fluctuating in its value, it is no better than unjust weights and measures, both are which condemned. All right. So let's just insert Bitcoin into this. Okay. If what is used as a medium of exchange, if Bitcoin is fluctuating in its value, then it's no better than unjust weights and measures, right? It's not fluctuating in its value because we're not taking anything away from it. We're not adding or subtracting anything to it or from it. See, this is what's so great about this. This article was written in 1752. This guy was a signer of the United States Constitution, Roger Sherman. Article 1, Section 10. I quote, no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in public. I'm sorry. No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. If he was here today, he would be a Bitcoiner. And I know I'm out on the ledge. I'm out on a limb saying that. I'm okay saying that. But he goes on in the article to make a case against paper bills of credit. It's a 16-page article, and he argues against bills of credit from Rhode Island to be used in the state of Connecticut. I'm sorry, not the state of Connecticut. They weren't a state yet. But he makes a great case for that. And I don't want to go too far, but the principle is the same. It's very simple. It's a caveat against injustice. There's plenty of injustice. There's plenty of paper dollars floating around. And you know what? We know they're printing more and more and more and more. And you know what? They're going to print a ton more. You know why? Because when they create money, they create it out of debt. The bank doesn't just go to the central bank and say, "Hey, can we have some more money?" They they print. The central bank prints money with a click of a button. They don't have to like shove money over to the little bank over here so they can move all this around. No, it's all electronic. They move it around. And then when you take your paper check that your fiat job gave you a paper check, if you're lucky, you might be able to have direct deposit. But if you get a paper check, you go to your bank and you say, "Here, will you take my paper check? I got paid my paper check and I need to put it in my checking account." They put it in your checking account and they put a hold on it. And you wait. Meanwhile, everything else is circulating all electronically. It's all happening very quickly, very quickly. All these settlement exchanges and everything, they settle all this money very, very electronically and very quickly. But you have to wait because you're at the bottom of the food chain. I should say me. I'm at the bottom of the food chain too. So this is a principle that this is why people are Bitcoiners. And this is why people are looking at, like, young people right now. They're looking at saving. Wow, saving money, save for the future, save this, save that. They're looking at these high what are they called? The high yield checking accounts, high yield savings accounts. What, 2 or 3%? What is the rate that they can get interest for a high yield savings account? No one's putting money in their savings accounts because the fiat dollar is losing more value than it is if you can save it. It'll lose that just in no time. So what happens? Does this slow down? History tells us it actually speeds up. It speeds up. And that is sort of the reality. That's sort of the reality check. And that is that it's not great news, but there is good news. There is good news. And that is what I tell my kids to do. And that is save in Bitcoin. You make fiat dollars, you get paid paper checks, however you get paid, as soon as you can, buy Bitcoin. Recently, we had a price of, I don't know, was it 109,000, and we had a dip to 109,000. I think it was there for like maybe 4 or 5 days, a week, something like that. And people were, "Oh, what's going on? Bitcoin is the bottom has fallen out of Bitcoin. Oh no." And then what's it doing right now? Let's see. What is the price of Bitcoin right now? Yeah, I don't even know. It's what, 119, 120,000? Oh yeah. Oh, it's crossed 120,000. Oh, so it's volatile, meaning it goes up and down in price, right? Yeah. Is that a good thing? Oh, it's a great thing if you can handle the volatility. If you're saving, if you're holding on, you got it. The worst thing you can do is not be on the elevator when it goes up. You don't want to climb that flight of stairs, do you? Imagine a building that had like, 1,000,000 floors. A 1,000,000 floor building. And you had an elevator that goes to the top. You're on the first floor. Buddy, if you don't get on that elevator, you got a long climb, right? Oh, I'm telling you, you want to be on that elevator. I don't care. You don't have to have, you don't have to have, you know, the ticket to get on the elevator is what, like $1, $10, whatever price you want to put on the ticket to get on that elevator. I don't know. It's up to you. But if you don't have anything on the elevator, if you don't have a ticket to the elevator at any cost, where are you? You're on the first floor. But everybody else around you got on the elevator. Or, at least the smart ones got on the elevator, and they're not going to be sitting down there on the first floor with you after that. So what do we do? What do we do? We just we do podcasts. We try to share Bitcoin with people in a pleasant and honest way. And if they get it, they get it. And if they don't, they don't. And it's not for everybody, I guess, but we try to do the best we can. Share value for value. You be honest. You share educational information. You try to like get things out there, teach people, help them understand what it is. It's not like gold. It's not like silver. It's not like paper dollars. It's not like credit. It's not like debt. It's sound money. It's sound money. They can't take it from you unless they get your keys. Okay. And there is a lot of things in the news about that, about people getting rugged, people getting wrench attacks, and all these other kinds of things that you might worry about. But it's if you're kind of set yourself up for success, you don't have to worry about those things, right? You can be like, hey, you can take anything you want. I got, whatever you want. I don't have lost it in a boating accident. Here's proof. Here, you show you all this. Right. So you do the best you can. And while you're on the elevator ride going to the 1,000,000th floor or whatever floor you get off on, you're gonna have discussions with other people on the elevator. You're like, hey, let's figure out how to protect this. How do we custody this? What's the best way to do that? How do you do that? How do I do that? Well, this is kind of what I've been thinking about. What have you been thinking about? Do you know anybody who has experience with that? Because I'm interested in learning about such and such. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, you really kind of want to have a trust factor of some kind with some people that you are exposed to. If you can do that, that's great. If you can do that, if you can find that, that's really great. It's not easy to find, and it's not easy to vet people either, right? You know, my wife has a saying: "Time and track record." And you will find out what people are all about, given enough time, given enough experience, given enough track record with them. So, uh, the sooner you get on that, and the sooner you get engaged, and your wheels start turning, and you realize that, yeah, it's not just me. I don't just own this Bitcoin in a vacuum. I do intend to use it as money. I do intend to learn more about it. And I do need to get off zero in terms of my security protocol because I really don't want to be vulnerable. Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. And it's a good idea to keep it simple because if something happens to you and your family has to figure it all out, you're going to want it to be simple for them, you know, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? So, and there's a lot of people that want to sell you this and they want to sell you that. Man, treasury companies, you can get up on the volatility, you can be on the upside, and then minimize the downside, and all this timing stuff, and it's kind of like trading a little bit, maybe. Uh, but if you have exposure to Bitcoin and you don't own your keys, do you own that Bitcoin? No. The short answer to that is no. And it depends on what your investment goals. It depends on what your goals are. If you don't really need, or it's in a system where you don't need to have the keys. You don't need to have, because it's not reachable. It's not accessible really to you. It's in a system that is sort of like a walled garden, and you can't take it out without a tax event. Well, then that's a different situation. That's different kinds of money, right? But if you have savings and you have it in Bitcoin and you have it on an exchange, I would ask you, are you safe keeping it there? Is that a good best place for you to keep that Bitcoin? I would say, arguably, no. And I would give you reasons. Exhibit A, the reason why is because data leak, privacy, security issue. That could be a problem, potentially. How do you know if your information got leaked by Coinbase? How do you know? Are they going to write you and apologize and tell you in a nice little letter or even in an email? I tend to doubt that. Pipeline says, we're live, by the way. Bitcoin is ripping. And I don't know if it has anything to do with it being Q4 of 2025. It very well could. It very well could be. And I have no idea if some of the events that if it's been like a coiled spring and it's starting to kind of like feel like ready to spring. I don't know. And what's really interesting is people who are hodling, people who are holding, they're buying and saving. Some of them will buy at any price when they can and hold on just because they know what they hold. And if you know what you're holding, amen, wonderful. That's so good. I don't know why my face is all itchy today, but yeah. So I'm just excited about this whole the concept of sound money never gets old. Never gets old. The concept of saving and planning for the future, building in Bitcoin, building businesses, building a family, homesteading, getting your hands into something and really working with it. I'm doing this in several areas that I'm really kind of at the point in my life where I'm enjoying these things, and kind of like there's so many new things. It's kind of like, can you imagine? Just rewind back. If you weren't there, then just go with me for a second. Rewind back to when the internet first started. Okay, and I know that there's a bunch of people who well, there's probably lots of people on this channel who were there, but there's maybe some listeners who weren't there when the internet first began. And I would challenge you to like be like you're, like anything's possible. Anything is possible to build new kinds of businesses because when the internet came on, it's like people didn't even know like what to do. They're like, well, how do you, we were trying to figure out like the how do you do this internet thing? And the people that were ahead of the game a few steps, they were building businesses in the internet so that they were positioned in the right place. And that's what I'm kind of saying like right now if you're observing what's going on and you're building, there's going to be a ton a, a whole crap ton of people that are going to come into Bitcoin that aren't even here yet. There's the Bitcoiners that aren't even born yet that are going to be building and stuff in this space. So I love it. If you're alive, you're hearing this broadcast, you have family members who are interested in Bitcoin. You have people who are like, maybe even just like Larry Fink. They didn't know. They were like, no, Bitcoin's a rat poison. It's this, it's that. No, it's because it doesn't fit the narrative. Folks, all your models are broken. There isn't anything like Bitcoin. There's never been anything like Bitcoin. You've got to go back and do the research, look under the hood, find out what Bitcoin is, do your research. If you know what Bitcoin is, then so you're ahead of 99 point something of you're ahead of most people. Now, it does mean that as Bitcoin becomes more valuable in at least in US dollar terms, there are vulnerabilities, and you're going to have to take those seriously. So security and common sense and making sure that you have a lot of things covered on your basis in terms of your security protocol, your how you self custody, where, what happens in case anything happens to you. These are all things you need to keep in mind. These are all things you have to plan for. And so, if you have any vulnerabilities, make sure you're taking care of those because there's not a week that goes by that somebody hasn't been compromised in some way. Their data has been leaked. They have been found. They have been attempted to be hacked, or there's a wrench attack in some fashion, in some way. We're seeing increased numbers of these, and it's best to plan ahead. All right. So with that, you are going to need to have some sort of trusted community. Period. You're going to need to have some sort of trusted, at least a small circle of people that you can at least talk to about these things. And I would suggest that your Bitcoin school. I'm sorry, the Bitcoin Citadel and in the school community that we're going to be announcing soon. I think that's a really good place to start. But it's not for everybody. If you like to trade, you like the dopamine rush of making lots of money and then you're losing lots of money, I would say that the Bitcoin Citadel is not the place for you, and that just move on. But if you're interested in preserving your family's wealth, and that you've worked hard for all your life for what you have, and you're tired of maybe Uncle Sam taking things that you're not thrilled about that, and you want to save in a sound money, you gotta you might be like-minded. You might be interested in something like the Bitcoin Citadel, and so. There is going to be some free information in there, but there is going to be for a large part of the information, it's going to be behind a paywall, and the value for those who join that, I think, is going to be immense, and I think it's going to be well worth it, way more worth than you would imagine. So I'm going to leave it there on that, and I do think that that's important to keep in mind. you're going to need to have some sort of trusted um, uh, people that have at least some level of trust. Um, and I totally get it. Bitcoin doesn't require trust. It's a peer-to-peer exchange, but and you don't necessarily have to have trust with the people that you're doing business with. But when it comes to people that you talk about Bitcoin with, those kinds of things, yeah, could be really beneficial. And in my experience, I would share that it's been the people that I've found to be very valuable to me are it's a small group, and I like it that way. And but you don't get into my small group unless I know exactly what you're all about. So, and I think there's a lot of people that are like that. So, with that, let's move into some stuff that is in the news. Um, yeah. So let's go over to um, where we have some new things that are happening. Um, I think it's been interesting the conversation around the core versus knots debate. It's kind of starting to shake out a little bit, and I do think that's kind of neat to see um, some of those things that are um, kind of like you're getting to see a little bit more of the agendas that people have, if you will. So I think that's always it's a good thing to kind of like I said, time and track record. Um, so um, let's see here, moving on. Um, yeah. So what else do we have? I think I can show you let me just show you a little bit of this screen right here. I'm going to show you a little bit of, going to kind of jump around just a tad and show you a copy of something that we're working on right now. And this is the Bitcoin Citadel community right here. This is some of the community section. We have some stuff under the classroom and some of those other things in here. So I think this is really going to be interesting as you go on. You're going to be getting a lot of really great value from this. Again, that's going to be unveiled next week, and I'm going to be able to share more information about that then. But I'm going to direct some of the people to that. In that community, I am going to be teaching a thing called the Bitcoin Diploma curriculum. I've mentioned it before. This is something that we're going to learn about together. Bitcoin. We're going to have this. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be great. And it's if you've been around Bitcoin for a long time, that might not be as appetizing for you as it is for new Bitcoiners. But if you're new to Bitcoin, or if you don't understand kind of some of the terms that get thrown around, time preference, and you know fractional reserve banking, and some of these complicated terms, then that might be a really good resource for you to check out. I encourage you to do that. I think it'd be very good, and that's one of the things that we kind of like position right in the front for the new Bitcoiners. Okay, the people who kind of get left behind in the shuffle. Okay, everybody who's like running for the cold storage wallets and this and that because they are familiar with some of those terms and some of those things and they're ready for that. That's great. But for the new Bitcoiner, the person who maybe baby boomer, don't really understand all this stuff, this is a great place to start. And so I'm gonna just absolutely recommend that you join the Bitcoin diploma class if you can get in the Bitcoin Citadel school community, which I'll have more information on that in the future. But again, this is going to be it's kind of like we want it to be sort of like a kind of a close knit community. Like, we don't just have a bunch of people in there that are just, throwing things against the wall and sort of like being, ruckus and everything. This is going to be something where I'm going to lead the course, and we're going to have, kind of some dialogue, and going to answer questions, and we're going to have to keep it within about an hour. So there's some great group activities and stuff like that. So you can look forward to that coming up. Uh, and I think our first class is scheduled to be on October 10th. And if I'm not mistaken, that is a Friday. That is a Friday. And we will have that Friday, October 10th, streaming at 5 p.m. on the Bitcoin School platform. I'm sorry, not the Bitcoin School platform, the Bitcoin Citadel at School platform. So that'll be fun. I think it's going to be great. I don't want to pump it up too much because try to under promise and over deliver. But any other questions right now? Feel free to throw those in the chat, and I will move out with some question and answers stuff we have, and also just a quick shout out to Maple Bitcoin is going to be streaming live on Fridays at 4. So 4 o'clock on Friday is going to be Maple Bitcoin, and then we're going to go live at 5 with the other class. So we may have a little bit of overlap, but I think it's going to be good if we can tie in those kind of two things together. And let's see, I kind of want to round it out here with any other questions. You can feel free to throw those in the chat. We're sitting right now at about 120 US fiat dollars. And we're going to go over here to time chain calendar. And we'll share that real quick. Block number 917405. Okay. Now, up here on the top right underneath this big number, okay, is this 832. You see that? This is what we've been talking about before, okay? 832 sats per US fiat dollar, okay? Market cap is $2.4 trillion total. And this number, as you see the value of Bitcoin going higher, you will see this number getting closer to zero. As it gets closer to zero, that means that your Bitcoin, those sats are worth ever more than they've ever been worth. Okay. Now, we know the volatility. We know the volatility goes up and down in Bitcoin. We know that. It was down at 109,000 last week. Are we worried about that? No, we're not worried about that. We're worried. We're worried that you're not going to be where you want to be on the elevator if you're you want to get on that elevator. So September 28th in the morning, September 28th, what was that? 2 days ago, 3 days ago? Yeah, it was 109,000. So that was like 3 days ago. So very interesting that we're seeing a pump right here. And people get all worked up about this. They're like, "Oh my word, it's just going crazy." And like, no, we're not going to get pumped up and get all flustered and upset and emotional about all this. This is just like, this is what this thing does. Okay. And I think it's so interesting that Wall Street, as James Check pointed out on his, he wrote something. He said, Bitcoin is like a wild horse that Wall Street thinks they can tame. Ah, oh yeah. Oh, I love that. I I like that guy. Um, he's dead right on heart on target there. Bitcoin is not something Wall Street is going to tame. Bitcoin is not something that the United States government is going to tame. Bitcoin is not something that the United States, China, Russia, every other country on earth, none of them are going to tame. Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and it answers to no man. That is a powerful thing. And you can see kind of like this thing marching forward. Now look, and the time chain calendar here, we've seen that back here and back. Let's go backwards in these blocks all the way back. You see the big numbers there? Those are the blocks. Those are the blocks. Back to the Genesis block, back here. Okay. All the way, all the way back. I mean, you can look at this thing. It's all open source. You can check it no matter where, what date, no matter what block. It's all open source. It's all on the blockchain. You can see it. Everything is on there. Now, this makes it so that the bad guys can also see it, but it makes it open source and verifiable so you can see it. And this is 100% why you need to understand your security. Understand that this is like your own sovereign self-banking. We're decentralizing the entire financial system, people. It's happening whether they like it or not. People can't, they're not going to be able to get enough gold. They're not going to be able, they can't buy such and such, these things. They can buy $1, $10, $100 worth of Bitcoin. They can do that, and then they can get it off the exchange with some help. Or not. Maybe they can figure it out on their own, but a lot of times they need some help in the beginning. But the beauty is, look at this. Look at this. March 8th, 2023, $21,971 for one Bitcoin. Wow. That would have been great to be able to buy something right there, huh? Oh, can you imagine? Here we are. Here we are today. 120,000. Oh dear. Okay. So you can see this thing. It's all open source. It's all very open. Okay. The bad guys can't see your name. They can't see things that are associated with that unless something gets leaked from a exchange. Pick your exchange carefully. I have some in the links in the comments below, the ones that I use. But it also underlines the need for a strong security mindset, if you will, for you. Because if you can't trust your bank and you need to custody your own funds, it's not impossible, but it does take some work. And it can be done by you. It can be done with some diligence and some perseverance and some common sense. The people who cannot handle things and they're just prone to losing everything, well, you know what? You're not going to probably be able to hold on to your Bitcoin. So you might want to brush up on that. Work on those protocols, work on those things, work on your weaknesses, because you're going to want to have some Bitcoin. You're going to want to be able to take it, care for it, self-custody it, become your own sovereign citizen as best you can. Okay. Whatever way you can. This is the financial tool that you have to do this with. So you have to be careful with it. You have to custody it carefully. Kind of pretend, kind of use it like, your life depends on it. Because as a lot of other things, value go to very much less or to zero. What's going up when all that stuff's going down? There are things that are going up. Bitcoin is one. Yes, gold is going up too. Gold is difficult to custody. Gold is difficult to transport. There are some things about gold that if you don't hold it, do you really own it? Do you have the keys to it? Maybe. It depends on a lot of things. What about the cost of producing gold? The cost of producing gold, it's very high. The cost of producing Bitcoin, it's also high, except there are other ways you can think about producing Bitcoin. You can mine Bitcoin at home. You can heat your home while you're mining Bitcoin at home. This is being done. And I've shown people on this channel, I've interviewed people on this channel that are doing that. We're going to have more interviews with guys that are doing that, because practically speaking, something you really want to know how to do. You can do it. So I say, study Bitcoin, understand what this time chain calendar is, understand what the mempool is. Yeah, understand the mempool. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. Right. Okay. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to share my mempool with you so you can see it. Yeah, here we are. This is a mempool being run locally on my node. Yes, it is. Look at that. We are 917405. Next block is coming up. And here we are. Look at this. Let's look at the hash rate, folks. Let's look at the hash rate. Let's see, what are we doing? No, there we go. Let's look at this. So that's, oh dear, look at that. Yeah. So the difficulty is, it's becoming more difficult, right? Since September 30th, hash rate is 1,133 exahash. Whew. Wow, difficulty has spiked. Yeah, okay. There you go. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, what that means is there's more miners, and it's the difficulty has become more difficult because there's all the miners. And that's what the difficulty adjustment does. It regulates a lot of the ability for the miners to mine the blocks. Kind of. Yeah. There's technical explanations for some of the stuff that are pretty deep, and I just want to keep it really simple for us right here. But this is the hash rate. This is the amount of hash rate that's being produced on the Bitcoin mining network right now, so that you can see where we are. And I mean, look over time. Let's look at over time. Okay, from the very beginning of, let's go back to, let's see if we can, how do we make this smaller? I want to make it smaller. No, I don't want to do that. I want to get this. Huh. Yeah, I don't want to see. I want to see everything since, I want to see it from the very beginning. So anyway, the hash rate over time has continued to go up and go up and go up. There's more Bitcoin being mined, more miners hashing to try to like solve the blocks. So this is good. The competition level is good, but it needs to be more decentralized. We need more decentralization to the mining network. There's the mining itself is a lot of mining happening, but it's concentrated in a few sort of like a few kind of power brokers, if you will. that needs to be more decentralized, and we need more of that spread across the network. So mining at home is a really good idea. And I would say that also you're running a node is also a really good idea. And I know there's a number of people that don't want to do that, but I think it's really a good idea to learn how to run a node. So if you can get some Bitcoin and you can get it in your self custody and then learn how to run a node, I think you'll just be really on the right track. You'll be way ahead of a lot of people too. And because there's going to be people in your family that are going to also want to know how to run a node. You're going to want to do that. And I would say, hey, clean your machine. Hope things are going well. Hope your nephew is doing well, or your grandson. And hope he's working on stuff. He's working maybe on your machines and stuff. Anyway, yeah. So this is going to be an exciting fall. We've got some exciting things happening. Got classes coming up. We've got some travel also that I'm going to have to be doing. So may have some flexibility in terms of like the days that I'm going to be streaming. Probably still be Thursdays about this time, but it could be a little bit flexible. So we're gonna see how that goes. But anyway, yeah. So that is really kind of like the crux of the matter. Kind of wanted to just kind of rewind back on that point. This guy Roger Sherman, uh, amazing guy. Just the stance that he took about um, the evils of a fluctuating medium of exchange. Um, really a good point that he's making here, and he's writing this. This guy was he was an attorney, and early attorney, and he makes this case, 16-page report that he's article that he's written. So yeah, that's the thing. It never changes. It doesn't change from like the 1700s. It doesn't change to 2025. A medium of exchange that fluctuates in its value, if it's like inflated, deflated, it needs to be sound money. And if it's not, then you're in the wrong currency. You're in the wrong game. So make sure that if you're in the game of sound money, that you get on that Bitcoin elevator and make sure you get at least something on the Bitcoin elevator, because it's gonna continue to go up, and how fast and how far it goes, just long-term horizon is really a good thing to have, is what I would just suggest. So, yeah. I think we were looking at that time chain calendar. I mean, we're at 120 right now, and we were 3 days ago, we were 109. Hey, the rate of up or down. I would feel the same way with it if it was like 120 3 days ago and it's 109 today. I'd still be saying the same thing, because the conviction is there. The things have to be in place so that you understand what kind of moment that we're in. You've got to have the conviction. Otherwise, you will not hold on. You will not hold on to it. You will get rid of it, as I did when I was way back in my ship coining days. Back there, way back there. So any questions, any thoughts, feel free to drop those in the chat. Feel free to get yourself a subscription to Bitcoin Generations. Like and subscribe, as they say. You can also go on X and give us a like on there. But no matter what you do, take care of your family, take care of your Bitcoin, and make sure that you you get on the elevator and you're on your way uh, up. And yeah, there's going to be stops along the way. Sometimes the elevator goes back down, but long term, the elevator goes all the way up to wherever it's supposed to go. And with that, I'd just like to go ahead and just wrap it up and just thanks so much. Thanks so much for stopping in today. We'll have some more good content coming up for you on Bitcoin generations. All right. And with that, uh, have a great day.